Why did The Sun publish a far-right conspiracy theory? Well, why does anybody at the end of the day? But it is The Sun, so what do you expect? But then this is The Guardian, so what do you expect? What do you expect for any of these people? Not a lot. I think if you just have low expectations, occasionally you might be surprised. And that is the best way to deal with most media these days, unfortunately. Now, I just want to make a couple of points. The first one is, just because someone has a certain worldview, and it can be a worldview that you disagree with wholeheartedly, doesn't mean that they aren't right sometimes about things, or that they're bad researchers, as in the information they're presenting is false. It doesn't. You can't really discredit someone's skills at something just because they have an iffy worldview, is what I'm saying. You know, a racist can be a very good builder. Okay, you know, great teachers might also be murderers. Do you know what I'm saying? It is a fact. And I did watch something the other day that put this, you know, that conjured this sort of thought up. And I was like, yeah, of course. Because unfortunately, at the moment, we live in a world where we have to look at the credentials of someone first before we make a decision about what we're going to think about something. As in, because the political spectrum is so polarized, if it comes from a right-wing voice and you're a left-wing person, you're going to discredit it, and vice versa. You'll just discredit it outright. You go, well, that's fake news, or that's this and that's that, as in only your side is correct all the time. No, it's very partisan. Everything's looked through a partisan lens. So you're going, oh, no, that can't be right because this person holds these views. Oh, no, that can't be right because this person said this before. You know what I'm saying? So even if something is published by a far-right page, because this says about a far-right conspiracy theory, but what they're arguing is, well, what they're saying is that they had there were a few sources from some far-right, or what they consider to be far-right outlets. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's false. Okay? Maybe the way they frame it, because a lot of it's framing as well. Outright fake news and outright lies is one thing, okay? But most of the time it's twisted. It's always twisted. The truth is twisted or misinterpreted. Often people are seeing stuff that isn't actually there. It's just how they perceive it. Everything is perception. Don't forget, everything's an illusion anyway. This is all just light bouncing off stuff. It's not even fucking here. But apparently we see upside down and shit. Just think about it before you start running your mouth. Too many people running their mouths without processing information in this day and age. We're all guilty of it. I am guilty of it. And you're guilty of it. So, let's agree to just be better. And the second point I wanted to raise, sorry this is a very long introduction, but there's not much to go through. It's a Guardian article. You see, I did a live stream the other night, and I posted up some clips of it, and one was talking about my worries about Jeremy Corbyn coming into power, because I thought it might legitimise very fringe, far-left extremist views that are very anti-Semitic, conspiracy-type views. So it's interesting that they talk about reporting conspiracy theories. But if you speak to a lot of people that hold certain views that support Jeremy Corbyn, you will find there's some iffy business going on with their views on the Jews and about global superpowers and corporations. And I put this clip up, and after 9 views, some little do-gooder, or thinks they're a do-gooder, but they're a do-nothing, decided to flag the video, and YouTube agreed to remove it for inappropriate content. And what I was doing was calling out people and saying we have no place for views that are shared by anti-Semites and Nazis. And yet, it said it was removed for inappropriate content because it encouraged acts towards protected groups. Now this is interesting, because I didn't know that Nazis and anti-Semites were a protected group. This was news to me. So, sorry, everyone, That apparently, and I didn't incite anyone to do anything either. I didn't call for anyone to do anything. When did I ask anyone to do anything? I tell everyone to pipe down all the time. So there you go. So now you know that you can't go around bashing Nazis and bashing anti-Semites and their ideas. You can't be having a go at it because they're a protected group according to YouTube. So now you know. So think about that next time you go punching a Nazi and so forth. They're a protected group according to YouTube's terms of service. Okay, naughty. Right, so the tabloid, so let's get into it. The tabloid swiftly deleted its dubious exclusive linking Labour to a shadowy network. Like it says network. Do you remember that, the dark web network that they said how you can get from Joe Rogan to neo-Nazism by watching YouTube videos? I mean, that's legitimate apparently, but this one, network of postmodern hard left extremists. On Saturday, The Sun published an exclusive story by its political editor, Tom Newton-Dunn, which announced that a group of former British intelligence officers had uncovered a hard-left extremist network at the heart of the Labour Party. Hijacked Labour declared the piece, which went on to claim that Jeremy Corbyn sits at the centre of a spider's web of extensive contacts that stretch from Marxist intellectuals to militant groups and illegal terrorist organisations. Now, of course, this is in The Sun, so you've got to be like, ooh, oh dear, you know. But then this is The Guardian, so you've also got to be like, oh no. And who are these British intelligence officers? I don't know. But they haven't really called them out, so maybe they're legit. The piece directed readers towards their website featuring a network map, which I have had a look at, and I got bored. That it said that had compiled by ex-military veterans in their spare time. Oh, look, in their spare time. Well, maybe their spare time is a lot. To reveal what they insist is now partly a party firmly in the grip of a hardline cabal. Each of the 490 organisations or individuals listed was presented as a node on a network with an attached fact file and further reading links. Well, do you know what? You only need to go look at the Momentum Facebook page to figure this kind of thing out. Like, literally, just go look at it. It's fruity. It's fruity. It's as fruity as Britain First. I'm telling you, it's fruity. But when readers began to inspect the map more closely, we found. But when readers, so not Sun readers, you're the reader, okay? So frame that a bit different. We found that several entries on the chart included extreme right-wing material among their sources. Now, of course, this is The Guardian, so you have to wonder what constitutes extreme right-wing in the view of The Guardian. That's the problem, you see. And what constitutes extreme left-wing in the view of neo-Nazis? That's another problem. I don't know. One fact file recommended a critique of anti-fascism posted on the anti-Semitic conspiracy website, The Millennium Report. One fact file recommended... So there's a fact file, and it recommended a critique of anti-fascism on the anti-Semitic conspiracy website, The Millennium Report. Okay, right. Which also features articles on such topics as the Jewish hand in the world wars and exposing Jewish Zionism. Now, like I said, and as I mentioned in that video that got taken down because of some little gobshite, and you are a little gobshite, whoever you are. You are. And it's up on BitChute now, so go over there and try and remove it from there. Have a good time. Like I said, far right and the far left believe the same things when it comes to Jews. They believe the same things. Nutty things. Another fact file pointed readers towards the website Aryan Unity. Well, that one definitely has a whiff of fruity. I mean, Aryan Unity. Once the mouthpiece of the British People's Party, a defunct neo-Nazi group, these were presented without caveats as apparently trustworthy sources. Now, here's the problem. Like, yes, it's a rule of thumb, because a lot of conspiracy websites will contain a hell of a lot of nonsense. But it doesn't mean it's all nonsense. And also, if you have to say it, look, you've got to face facts. Like, even if a place is called Aryan Unity, you have to go in somewhere and say, right, okay, this is these people. Like the same as reading this article or reading The Sun in general. You got to go, right, well, we know where they're coming from. But, like, if you can fact check their facts, the thing is, what about the fact checking? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not factual. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily. You can't really disregard people's fact finding all the time. I mean, you know, a neo-Nazi group obviously going to twist a lot of things, I would imagine, for their own gains, but everyone else does, don't they? Don't they? We see it all the time now. So it's like, it's calling the pot, calling the kettle black, isn't it, really? That's the way I see it, unfortunately. This is the world we live in. Before the end of the day, the story had been removed from the paper's website without acknowledgement or explanation from Newton Dunn or his bosses. The Sun declined to comment, and Newton Dunn has not responded to my questions. Probably because you messaged saying, hello from the Guardian. Hello. This is more than a case of sloppy sourcing. The map itself is drenched in conspiratorial thinking. It describes obvious political connections, for instance, that Corbyn and other senior Labour MPs are linked to trade union officials in a way that implies that these are part of a wider shadowy network. This network apparently includes the IRA, Hamas, and the Colombian guerrilla group FARC. Radical members of the British Medical Association and various anti-war and anti-racist and anarchist groups, many of whom don't even get on with each other. Well, you can still have one unifying person that they all believe in, which could be Jeremy Corbyn. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the alt-right don't get on with many people. You know, these are the same sort of people who call, you know, someone like Ben Shapiro alt-right, even though the alt-right despise Jews. So come on, you know, this is the game you play as well. So this is the game you all play. We're the ones that have to deal with it. We're the ones that have to suffer because of it. The chart also links Corbyn's Labour Party to a range of living and deceased philosophers, including Stanley Fish, Jacques Derrida, R.I.P., and Richard Rorty, R.I.P. The argument here is that his hard-left extremist network shares an insidious and unpatriotic ideology, postmodern neo-Marxism. Well, they do often come out of a lot of unpatriotic stuff, though, don't they? As one of the researchers told The Sun, this is an ideology which specifically encourages its supporters to tell lies because it denies the existence of any absolute truth. Okay. Various independent media outlets were featured on the map, including Open Democracy. George Soros was listed among its funders, as well as, well, you know, the George Soros things. Well, if you mention George Soros, you're a conspiracy nutter. Often they are, but, you know. As well as a number of high-profile journalists, including Guardian contributors. Oh, that's why you're pissed in it. Oh, my God. Owen Jones was one of them. Owen, were you in there? So how did The Sun, one of the UK's most widely read newspapers, come to publish it? Well, The Sun published all sorts of fucking nonsense. Since day one, they're kind of bulletproof when it comes to publishing nonsense. Everyone knows this. They can publish what they want. You go, yeah, Soza, and it'll be about this big. Yeah, Soz on page 59, and it's a 58-page newspaper. The answer reveals how easily far-right conspiracy theories now circulate between fringe outlets and the mainstream media. See, this is the point I was trying to make about the far left, myself. Because it's all very obvious about far-right conspiracy nonsense that gets pushed around, right? But the far left, oh, no, because I'm telling you, man, they'll all talk about the Rothschilds, they'll all talk about stuff like that. I hear it all the time. I see it get shared around on fucking Facebook. And there's plenty of very left-leaning and far left-leaning websites where there's conspiratorial nonsense published. Believe you me. Okay. Conspiracy isn't exclusive to the right wing, my friends. And these were the concerns I had. Most of my friends are left-wing, and most of my friends believe in various conspiracy theories that I constantly have to tell them that originate from anti-Semitic propaganda from years ago. And I see it shared all the time, and it's very mainstream, because most of my friends aren't internet people. They're not on 4chan and shit like that. Do you know what I'm saying? They don't know who Jake Paul is. They ain't watching Nerd City videos. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mainstream. Anyway, the map linked to by the Sun closely resembles an earlier graphic that first appeared online in August under the name of the Traitors Chart. Strong title. The earliest mention of it that I can find is on an obscure website called Country Squire magazine. What? Country Squire magazine. Wow. That's hilarious. Which said it had received a press release about the map. That article, since deleted, had a publication date of the 21st of August. Oh, you are an investigator. Are you proving what an investigative journalist you are? The website's only other significant intervention to date has been a pro-Brexit polemic that described Ireland as a land of puppy farms, rain-soaked holidays, dingy bars, drugs, mules, celebs, verbal diarrhea, and squeaky fiddles are now deleted. So, the Traitors Chart, which was larger than its successor and included the names of even more high-profile journalists, was then picked up by the international far-right media network Breitbart. Now, Breitbart, whose UK editor James Dellingpole wrote about it on the 27th of August. Right, see, this is where we got the problem, because they call Breitbart a far-right media network. They're not a far-right media network. They're a right-wing media network. It's Breitbart. Go look at anything to do with Andrew Breitbart. And go read go look at Breitbart and tell me what you think. It's not this is the problem when they call that far right. It's not, it's just right wing. Like, everything's far right to them. This is the problem. This is where it gets murky. You've muddied the waters too much. And everyone's just like, oh, what's going on? Like, people are fucking confused, man. Really confused. People don't know where they stand. And it's because of the media. The Sun and the Guardian. All of y'all. Anyway, for Dellingpole, the map revealed the extent of cultural Marxism, which has led to the takeover by hard left of every institution, so that even when there's a supposedly conservative government in power, its values are the left which continue to dominate everyday life. There's a hell of a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that. Since then, the Traitors Chart has been revised and rebranded as Hijack Labour, and the website that hosted the original was closed down and a new one registered on the 3rd of December, a few days before the Sun's exclusive appeared, this time with a new frontman for the project, a former SAS officer and author named Mark Blaise. Since the Sun took down its story, the map has been revised once more, removing the links to neo-Nazi and anti-Semitic websites. Okay, so they cleaned it up. They didn't want traffic going on there. Conspiracy theories offer a simple way to explain complex power relationships and patterns of cause and effect. Yes, but I'll tell you this: the patriarchy is a conspiracy theory, because if it's always a theory, everything's a theory. There's many theories that are perpetuated in The Guardian, many conspiracy theories. The Russia thing with Trump, is a conspiracy theory because it's not proven. Everything you've got to remember what a conspiracy theory is, because the world of conspiracy theories has been muddied too. Because you've got to look at it as there's the lunatic shit, and then there's the sort of semi-legitimate shit, and and then there's the stuff that's provable, but they're all conspiracy theories. The patriarchy is a conspiracy theory. Russiagate is a conspiracy theory. 9/11 is a conspiracy theory. Okay, the whole Rothschild conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory. These are all conspiracy theories. Theoretical things. Okay? You perpetuate conspiracy theories. They're fucking theories. So who are you to go around telling people, people are sick of this. People are really sick of everyone going, no, we're taking the high ground. No, we're on the high horse today. No, you're not. We have the higher horse. No, our horse is higher. It's like, can you all shut up and jog on? Why can't you, this is why people want to watch Philip DeFranco and shit. Individuals are more likely to turn to them when they feel powerless and when they lack the tools to analyse the world in other ways. Which sounds like a hell of a lot of left-wing people as well as right-wing people. Think about it. From climate change to the climate, right, Extinction Rebellion, the EDL. Oh, hello everyone. I don't see much difference in these people. I don't see much difference in them. I really don't. They all think they're doing everything. They all think they're right. Some more right than others. That's a joke. They can flourish within any political tradition. Look, for instance, at the Corbyn did Brexit rhetoric among some liberal Remainers who believe he sabotaged a referendum. The offensive and evasive behaviour of the Labour leadership over anti-Semitism in its own ranks, meanwhile, has caused great damage. But conspiracy theories become a lot more dangerous when they are cultivated and amplified by prominent media platforms like yourself, because you do it all the time. Just run a search of The Guardian and Russia conspiracy for Donald Trump, or The Guardian and patriarchy, or The Guardian and just far right, the far right menace. Just see how many articles come up, because a lot of that is theory. A lot of those are theories based on not a lot. Theories. It's the same way. It works the same way, my friends. It does. Because I've been studying conspiracy theories for a fucking long time, and I'm gonna make that documentary. I'm gonna make it next year. I'm gonna spend time. I'm gonna put that thing together. Show you how research is done, you little bitch. And this is overwhelmingly taking place on the right. As the story of the traitors chart indicates, a global online ecosystem has grown up in the last few years that bridges the gap between the far right and the mainstream. And the far left and the mainstream. Thank you very much. I told you. Acknowledge everything, or we have nothing. And in the case of outlets such as Breitbart, there is significant financial backing involved. In the UK, there has been a concerted effort from mainstream conservatives to depict Corbyn and, by extension, the whole Labour Party as a deadly threat to the nation. Because he champions socialism too much, and we look at Venezuela. We don't need to look in the past for bad examples. We just look at people eating zoo animals and go, oh, don't fancy that. The man loves Venezuela. They love Venezuela. They see it. They're like, oh, this is a success. Come on, man. Come on. It's like your babysitter recommending, their your babysitter's leaving, right? And they recommend a replacement. And Ian Watkins turns up at your fucking door. Here's a good one. I mainly say that for comic effect, but it's sort of true. His past associations with Palestinian activists and Irish nationalists. You see, one person's activist and one person's nationalist is also another person's terrorist. Everything's subjective, my friends, isn't it? The FARC are listed as terrorists by certain countries, whereas somewhere like Ecuador does not list them as terrorists. Russia doesn't acknowledge that Kosovo exists. We, as the UK, don't acknowledge the existence of Somaliland, but they exist. Everything's subjective, my friends, because the world is largely run by idiots. Anyway, his opposition to British overseas military action, all these and more can be criticised or defended on their own merits. And I agree with that. But in the right's narrative, they make Labour not only objectionable, but democratically illegitimate. But they do have a very good point. So, yeah. As the story of the traitors chart indicates, a global online ecosystem has grown up in the last few years of the British... Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I read that already. The election has raised this to a fever pitch, and it comes after 3 years in which the pro-Brexit right has portrayed anyone who appears to stand in its way as an enemy of the people. To borrow the Daily Mail's pungent phrase, today Boris Johnson launched... Yeah, but the left have kind of framed it as... How have they framed, pro-Brexit people? They've used pretty disparaging terms for them as well. Like I said, acknowledge it all or don't acknowledge anything. Today, Boris Johnson launched his last week of election campaigning by training a speech in which he accuses Corbyn of great betrayal over Brexit. The broad impact of this stabbing, well, he's just, I wouldn't say a betrayal, but he's definitely a flip-flopper, isn't he? I mean, he hasn't got any position, has he? He can't portray something he never had. Anyway, the broad impact of this stab-in-the-back rhetoric has been to toxify political debate, but has more acute effects too. But you are the Guardian and you like to shut things down. So don't talk about political debate when you don't even like it yourself. Since 2016, we have seen the murder of one Labour MP by the far right. Oh, sorry, I've got to give a round of applause. Sorry, you always got to give a round of applause when they just keep milking the death of Jo Cox and using her name over and over again, because this is all they do. This is the only example they have of far right extremism. I don't like it just really it's used so much that it's like, oh my god, I forgot to play the when will they mention Jo Cox. I didn't expect them to mention Jo Cox, but they've mentioned Jo Cox in this. Unbelievable. They just have no fucking shame. Just no shame. You know? Like I said, the left leaning will use Jo Cox, and the right wing, well, who was their boy? Lee Rigby. You know, stop using their fucking names, all of you, please. Stop it. It's just pathetic. We've had enough. Thank you. I'm sure their families have had enough too. Anyway, I'm not even going to read that bit of it. Fuck you. Abusive language has flown in many directions as the UK's politics has become more turbulent, but what's coming from the right is of a different... It's different, okay? Order altogether. Not least because it's being boosted by several mainstream newspapers. What is particularly worrying about The Sun's publication of a toxic conspiracy theory is that the story was written by its political editor, a veteran journalist with years of experience as a defence correspondent who appears frequently on the BBC. It's not good enough for The Sun to simply remove it. The paper needs to apologise and to explain what it got wrong and why. But of course, we live in a world where a few years ago, everything was sort of here, the left and the right. And we could see things a bit more clearly and go, yeah, you definitely should apologise for that. But now we're over here. And so who fucking knows? Because there's plenty The Guardian should probably apologise for too. I would just recommend going and have a look at it and look at the links and see what you think. Just have a look at it. Just look at it for yourself. And, you know, and forget, you know, try and do the research. Just go look into it, man. Just go look into it. You know, be a sensible person. Be a moderate person like me. Like... My father always said I had real extreme views until I realised that I'm quite a moderate, well-balanced person. Like, I'm not the lunatic I always hoped I was. You know, I realised I was a sane person surrounded by lunatics. Fucking, you know. It's weird. You want this election to be over. And yet, when it's over, it's not going to be over, is it? Whatever happens, no one's going to be happy. And we're not going to hear the fucking end of it either way. So whoever wins, everyone loses. And that's that.